Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we are going to completely demystify the science behind high-intensity interval training, commonly known as HIIT, and its incredibly extreme cousin, the Tabata protocol. We hear these buzzwords thrown around the gym and on social media constantly, right? But today, we're bypassing all the hype. We're going straight to the clinical data to see exactly why these methods are so ridiculously effective, how they physically remodel your body on a microscopic level, and of course, the very real risks you need to navigate. Okay, so here's our roadmap for today. We're going to journey all the way from dense cellular biology straight into practical fitness regimens and injury statistics. We'll hit the time efficiency paradigm, jump inside a muscle cell, and then zoom out to look at the heart and brain benefits. After that, we'll directly compare HIIT and Tabata, objectively assess the risks, and wrap it all up with the best practice guide for your own routines. Section 1. The time efficiency paradigm, rethinking the workout. In our modern, fast-paced world, the absolute #1 excuse people give for skipping exercise is just a lack of time. Well, high-intensity interval training burst into the mainstream as the ultimate solution to this problem, making some really bold claims about time efficiency. I mean, it sounds exactly like a late-night infomercial, doesn't it? Get shredded in just 4 minutes. But can 4 minutes of intense exercise genuinely equal a 45-minute traditional workout? We are going to investigate if this 4-minute life hack can truly replace a traditional gym session. And actually, according to the scientific literature, specifically a massive 12-week study comparing low-volume sprint intervals right alongside standard endurance training, the answer regarding your cardiometabolic health is a resounding yes. But to really understand how that's possible, we have to look at what it's replacing. Before we can judge these high-intensity claims, we absolutely have to understand our baseline. When you look at the data, you will constantly see this acronym, MICT. That stands for Moderate Intensity Continuous Training. Think of your standard 45-minute jog, a steady bike ride, or swimming laps. This is your continuous, steady-state exercise performed at a lower intensity. It's basically the gold standard for cardiovascular health, and it's the exact baseline that interval training is constantly measured against in the lab. Let's move to Section 2, inside the muscle cell, the biological chain reaction. To truly grasp why short bursts of intense effort actually work, we've got to put on our lab coats and look at the biological chain reaction triggering at the cellular level. And this beautifully illustrates the cellular magic. When you push your body to near maximal effort, you rapidly burn right through your cell's immediate energy stores, ATP and glycogen. This massive, rapid depletion causes a huge spike in metabolites like lactate and calcium ions. In a good way, your cells basically hit the panic button. This intense stress triggers signaling proteins, specifically AMPK and CAMKII, which act just like emergency fire alarms. They tell a gene called PGC1 alpha to start transcribing brand new mitochondrial proteins. You are literally forcing your body to build new cellular power plants to handle future stress. It's wild. Section 3, Heart and Brain Benefits. The macro impact. Expanding out from that microscopic cellular level, let's examine the whole body benefits those newly built power plants provide for your heart and your brain. Because it isn't just about running faster or looking leaner, the systemic adaptations are huge, particularly when we're talking about cognitive preservation. Now, what's incredibly interesting here is how a recent meta-analysis on older adults and cognitively impaired patients proves just how powerful these intervals are for the brain. When researchers put subjects through really rigorous psychological exams, like the Stroop test, which measures attention and impulse control, HIIT totally outperformed the steady-state MICT baseline. We saw the exact same thing for the digit span test, evaluating working memory, and the trail-making test for task switching. The intense cardiovascular demand of interval training is quite literally remodeling the brain's efficiency. So the crucial point here is that this translates directly to a sharper mind and a stronger heart, giving you undeniable protective benefits as you age. By pushing your VO2 max, which is the absolute maximum amount of oxygen your body can utilize, you are bathing your brain in blood flow and heavily promoting neuroplasticity. It's essentially a dual-pronged defense against physical and cognitive decline. Moving right along to Section 4. HIIT versus Tabata, comparing the protocols. People often throw around the terms HIIT and Tabata like they mean the exact same thing, but from a scientific and physiological standpoint, they are wildly different animals. Looking at this quote, you can really appreciate the sheer agony of a true Tabata workout. Dr. Izumi Tabata himself thought the protocol was just way too painful for the average person to endure. It was specifically designed to push elite, world-class Japanese speed skaters to their absolute breaking point, all to squeeze out tiny, fractional improvements in their anaerobic capacity. To fully grasp that level of pain, consider this. A true Tabata session demands a massive effort equivalent to 170% of your VO2 max. 170%. So this isn't just breathing heavily. This is a supra-maximal effort. It is an exertion level that is physically impossible to sustain for more than a few agonizing seconds. Your body is heavily relying on its anaerobic energy systems and just flooding your muscles with lactic acid. This side-by-side starkly contrasts the two. Standard HIIT is incredibly flexible and adaptable. You can play around with the intervals. Maybe you work for 40 seconds and rest for 40 seconds, keeping your heart rate right around 80–90% of its max. But Tabata, zero flexibility. It is strictly 20 seconds of absolute all-out effort, followed by a measly 10 seconds of rest repeated 8 times. It is exactly 4 minutes of structured suffering designed to perfectly maximize your anaerobic power. Section 5. Assessing the risks. The cost of intensity. Look, with such extreme physiological demands, we have to impartially assess the very real risks associated with these time-efficient workouts. Because when you are racing against the clock and pushing yourself to sheer exhaustion, your margin for error shrinks dramatically. 144%. This shocking number represents the massive increase in HIIT-related injuries recorded over just a 5-year span, as these routines absolutely exploded in popularity. As the barrier to entry lowered and more people started chasing that quick 4-minute fix without a solid physical foundation, emergency rooms saw a huge spike in sprains, strains, and muscular tears. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly where those injuries are happening. It shows how form breakdown under intense fatigue predominantly damages the legs, knees, and trunk. Think about it. When you are on your 7th round of jump squats and your lungs are completely on fire, your biomechanics fall apart. Your knees cave in, your lower back rounds, and that repetitive impact creates acute trauma. Over 35% of these injuries hit the lower extremities, largely driven by explosive plyometric movements done while severely fatigued. Okay, Section 6, your best practice guide, safe implementation. Now that we understand the deep science and the statistical risks, let's lay out a truly practical guide on how to safely apply all this research to your own life. So the absolutely crucial point here is to respect your body's limits. First off, secure a fitness baseline. Do not jump straight from the couch into a Tabata routine. Spend weeks building up your continuous MICT cardiovascular base first. When you do start intervals, pick simple, low-impact movements where your form won't break down easily, like using a stationary bike instead of doing complex, heavy kettlebell swings. Also, your body adapts during the recovery phase, not the workout phase. You need 48 to 72 hours of complete rest between these intense sessions to let those cellular upgrades actually take place and prevent central nervous system burnout. Armed with an understanding of exactly how interval training remodels your body and brain, how will you choose to invest your time today? The science is incredibly clear. You don't need hours in the gym to build a more resilient heart, a sharper memory, and denser mitochondria. You just need intention, proper execution, and a willingness to embrace a little bit of strategic discomfort. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.